For Rivals.com, I'm National Recruiting Analyst and Rankings Director Adam Friedman here with Rob Cassidy, the Basketball Recruiting Director for Rivals.com. And Rob, we're here today to talk about one of our favorite prospects. We've been texting about him for a little while now. Kendre Harrison. He went viral this week for pulling a Daryl Dawkins and breaking the backboard in a high school game. Kendre Harrison is a 6'7", 240-pound prospect in the 2026 class from Reedsville High School in North Carolina. And we all saw the clip, Rob, in his game Tuesday night against Moorhead High School, and the Reedsville point guard was driving down the lane and passed to his left to Harrison, and he went up and threw down a two-handed dunk that shattered the backboard and ripped the rim off in the process. I mean, this guy's been awesome to cover so far, Rob. In the basketball rankings, you've got him ranked number 28 overall, and it looks like he's nearing double-digit offers on the basketball court. And his stat line so far on the season, he's averaging 18 points, 15 rebounds, almost 4 blocks on the season. And on the football field, he's got more than 20 offers and ranks as the number 17 overall prospect and the top tight end in the class. And this past season, he put up monster numbers on both sides of the ball. He had 845 yards receiving, 14 touchdown catches, 57 catches overall, 70 tackles on defense, 8 sacks. He batted down 7 passes and forced 2 fumbles on defense. Rob, it's your turn to gush about Kendre Harrison. What do you love about this guy?
Yeah, he's my kind of guy. He's kind of a throwback of sorts. And, when it comes down to it, there's always one of these guys that's like a basketball player. That's also like, a highly ranked football kid every year. But they're never like actual prospects. This kid, I mean, he could impact the highest level of college basketball, I think. Now, long term, he's probably better off suited for football just because guys like him don't really play the 5 in the modern NBA. If this was 1993, boy, you can really look at him because he doesn't really have the jumper. But he's a pleasure to cover. He's everything you'd think he would be by looking at him. A beast on the glass. Absolutely moves incredibly, for his size. And I think the most impressive thing about him that kind of separates him from the other football guys that end up playing basketball is that he can play a little bit on the perimeter. If he gets caught in a switch, he's quick enough to stay in front of a smaller guard. You don't want him handling the ball or bringing it up the court, but he can do it at a certain level. He doesn't look as awkward as other football guys when it comes to handling the ball. So he is pretty skilled. I think when you see a football guy like this and you see the size and you see the rebounding numbers, you assume he's some type of player. And he's really not just that. He's not one of these guys that should be pigeonholed because he is super skilled.
He's not just a bull in the china shop, right? He can move around.
He is that. Yeah, he is that. But he's also other things on top of that.
Yeah. So how successful do you think he could be at the college level as a basketball player? Is he like a UNC type recruit, or is he, maybe an App State type of recruit?
He's probably somewhere in the middle there. I think that he's definitely a high major level baskall player. He's a guy that, could end up at an Auburn or an Alabama or one of these emerging programs that still kind of likes a big man. I wouldn't rule him out from a high level, like in North Carolina or whatever, depending on how he develops. It'll really all come down to how he comes down and shoots his jumper. We haven't seen a lot of that from him. Mostly because he doesn't have to, so I don't really know what it looks like. You don't see him putting up a ton of shots, outside of 15 feet. He's got a soft touch around the rim, though, and the stroke looks okay. So, it's projectable, I think. So I think this is one of those guys, and you and I have conversations about these guys every year. If I see a guy that's also a football player, I'll call you, or vice versa. And usually one of us is like, no, he should stick to your sport. This one, I can see him actually playing both if he ends up in a program that will allow him to do that.
Well, he's visited a lot of schools already. I know he's been to Georgia. He's been to North Carolina a bunch. He's been to Duke. He's been to Notre Dame. I think he went to earlier this off season. And so he's getting around. He will take a bunch of visits this spring after basketball season is over. It'll be interesting to see how engaged he is in the AAU circuit after his high school basketball season. But there's a lot still to come from him in the recruiting process. In terms of his football recruitment, we're looking at teams that make use of the tight end in a major way. He's already visited Georgia, like I said, and they have, arguably the best tight end room in the entire country going back to the last few years. They're going to have Brock Bowers go in the first round this year. You're going to look at Notre Dame. Their use of the tight end in the past is tremendous. We'll see what they do at Alabama. I know that he was interested in the Crimson Tide earlier on in the process while the previous coaching staff was still there. And of course, the in-state schools are making a big push to keep him around as well. I'm sure he'd love to, suit up for UNC what was his name? Julius Peppers. Yeah,
Peppers,
exactly.
yeah.
Back in the day. Yeah. I mean, he'd love to play both sports at Duke or at UNC, I would imagine. Look for Manny Diaz to really get involved there, the new Duke head coach as well. So we'll have to see what comes from Kendre Harrison. Rob, it'll be fun to go back and forth about him as a football prospect or a basketball prospect moving forward. Rob, what are your parting shots on Kendre Harrison? What do you expect to see from him going through the rest of the basketball season here? And where do you see his game developing?
Yeah, this is really where you find out, I think, is after this season, when these kids head into the summer before their junior years, where we really find out how serious he is about basketball. Is he going to play the summer circuit at all? I mean, he's probably not going to play a full EYBL schedule just because I know how it goes with camps and all the other important things that happen on the football circuit in the summer. But will he be around a little bit? If he's around a little bit, it signals to me that he's got some real interest in continuing also as a basketball prospect. And like I said earlier, the biggest thing with his game is just going to be how the jump shot develops. Because the athleticism is obviously there. The size is obviously there. He's got great instincts and a great touch, a great motor, can score it in the paint. Can he shoot it is kind of the question. He doesn't have to become Steph Curry, obviously. Like, he can be just a guy that you don't want to leave open from 20 feet or whatever. But if he can even get to being decent there, then I think we start talking about even higher level schools recruiting him.
Okay, well, on the football field, he's already a really great tight end prospect. It wouldn't be surprising to see him even reclass up. He has a skill set that's already very advanced at the tight end position. I think he could be a really good defensive end as well. You saw his stat line from this past season, that size at 6'7", that agility that he brings. We'll see how much stronger he gets as a prospect, and maybe that helps him learn more about playing on the defensive side of the ball and advancing his game.
It's so funny to hear you be like, we'll see how much stronger he gets when he's like the strongest guy on the court in any setting. Basketball, but in football, it's still like little slight.
We'll see. I mean, he could stand up and end up playing on the edge and playing in space a little bit too. As a 6'7" guy, I mean, he would be so difficult for quarterbacks to try and throw around and when he's in coverage and as a pass rusher. I mean, that length, that size. He already batted down 7 passes this past season as a sophomore. We're going into his junior season this fall. I mean, his game is going to hit another level. We hope.
You see that vertical too in the video in the backboard. I mean, guys that are built like that aren't supposed to be able to jump like that.
No,
it's really something to behold.
He's the best red zone target in the country as far as I'm concerned right now. So we'll see how things turn out for him. Rob, thanks so much for joining me. I'm national recruiting analyst and rankings director Adam Friedman for Rivals.com. Please remember to subscribe to Rivals.com YouTube channel and follow all the Rivals social media accounts. And of course, you can find all of my content on all of Rob's content on Rivals.com. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Adam.